I'm Brandon Owens, and I run the Silent Planet. I travel on the road as a musician most weekends, and then during the weeks I just make music in here. This area was just a covered patio that we used to hang out in, basically in our backyard. We were like, let's just close that in. It's already like a space that we hang out in and love, so let's just make it into a studio. Back in like 2003, when I was engaged to my wife, she bought me a Polaroid camera. And at that time, you could just go to Walmart and buy film for like $5. And so I just fell in love with it and started taking pictures and just started collecting old cameras and got all my old Star Wars posters from my parents' house. And just knickknacks from the road, and now the walls and everything have just become littered with, to me, it's history. Like, I love just kind of walking around and like catching a picture I haven't seen in a while. I'm like, oh, I remember that day, it was awesome. And then, you know, once you start doing this, people find stuff on the road and they bring it to you like I found this owl and I think you need to have it. My brother was really into music, and he's a year older than me. One day he walked up and he said, I'm starting a band, you're playing this. And he handed me a bass guitar. And I had zero interest in it at the time, but as I figured it out just to play in his band, I actually like developed a passion for it. For a long time I did graphic design. That was like my full-time job, but it wasn't fun at all. It was like doing billboards for like an Outback Steakhouse. I'd like create it and they'd be like, hey, can you put a drop shadow under that steak? I'm like, I hate my life. Actually, my wife kind of pushed me into it. I've always made music on the side and just enjoyed it. One day she was just like, I think your heart maybe died. Why don't you just get a part-time job for a little bit, quit doing graphic design and just pursue music? And Nashville being the city that it is, like you can just stand on the street corner and be like, I play this, and someone will pick you up, you know? And so it just slowly turned into playing on the road, and then took this bedroom in the back of my house and started getting gear and tracking drums in the living room and just making weird music. And then we built this place, and it just kind of became a hobby, kind of turned into not a full profession yet, but something that I love to do. 4 times his favorite. I think that's just because it's what he can reach. Yeah. Good job, dude. Hit this one. Like growing up playing music, I was never that like bass player who was like, I gotta go study all the licks from my favorite players and learn the songs. I was more interested in, yeah, we could do that and we could cover songs, or we could write songs. Like, let's make things, let's create. I was always like more interested in creating. And when you're playing every night, you're playing the same songs over and over again, which is cool. But like in the studio, you're always creating. You're always thinking of the next thing, new, just fresh stuff. The creative process working with bands for me is always a little different. I'm very much hands-off, and I see myself less of a captain of the ship, you know, and more just kind of steering the boat, and taking their ideas and directing them in the right direction. I think it's kind of trendy right now to be into like the old school, like analog and tape, which is great. And I think I lean that way a little bit too. I think tracking through Neve stuff, just real warm. I like that a lot. I like API stuff a lot too, especially for drums. If I could, I would have maybe not like a full console, but like a Neve, like a sidecar or something, like 16 channels. People are doing great stuff with so little these days. There's these pop artists that have access to the best studios in the world, and then you hear that they did all the vocals for their record on the road with like an Apogee duet and an SM7, you know? And it's like, well, what excuse do I have for not, you know, doing great stuff? A lot of the bands I work with, the artists are so creative already that they'll bring in these scratch tracks, and I'm like, I want to use all this because it sounds so good. And they're like, oh, I did that on my MacBook with the built-in speaker, and I'm like, that sounds so rad. So I think a lot of it is you can definitely get stuck in a rut of like, I need this next thing. Well, if only I had this drum kit instead of this one, or if only I had this or whatever. And it's like, there's a lot of people out there with so little who are doing so much. And I think it's a lot more about who you are and your creativity than the gear. But then the gear does help a lot. I'm learning a balance of enjoying life and the things that you have, and also, striving to grow and do more and be better. It's just a weird balance. It's like, I forget who said it, but I was watching something recently, and someone said something like, I wish you knew that you were in the good old days when you were in the good old days, or something like that. Because it's like, I would have probably enjoyed it a lot more if I had realized this is the time, So that's kind of what I'm striving towards right now. My name is Brandon Owens, and you're watching Creative Spaces TV.